this is 4 days of vegan meal prep, and every single day contains 126 grams of plant protein, contains all of your vitamins and minerals that you need to be a healthy and fit vegan without supplementation, and also clocks in at less than 1,600 calories per day. You're also going to get a ton of food, as you can see right in front of me. If you want to download all of these recipes plus their grocery lists, then you can click the link in the description. All right, let's jump in. Most people need more than 1,600 calories per day, even if your goal is fat loss. If you want to increase the calories of this meal prep, then you can easily add more food. For example, you can add an apple, a handful of walnuts, and some carrots and hummus to add about 400 nutritious calories and bump your total calorie intake for the day up to 2,000 calories. But while these foods are some healthier options, it doesn't really matter what foods you add because this meal prep is already 100% nutritionally complete. You can determine your ideal calorie needs based on your fitness goals, activity level, and body composition by using our free vegan nutrition calculator. All right, now it's time to meal prep. So when it comes to meal prepping, I like to be as efficient in the kitchen as possible. I don't want to spend all my day cooking. So we're actually going to get started with dinner because this is going to take the longest. First, preheat the oven to 400 degrees. Cut 2 blocks or 684 grams of tofu into cubes, then add them to a bowl and toss with 2 tablespoons or 36 grams of tamari and 2 tablespoons or 16 grams of cornstarch until evenly coated. Add them to a large sheet pan lined with parchment paper. Next, cube 2 medium sweet potatoes into 1-inch chunks and add them to a separate sheet pan also lined with parchment paper. Drain and rinse about 2 cups or 304 grams of chickpeas and add those to the same sheet pan if they fit, or use another one if they don't. You don't want everything to be too close together. Lastly, sprinkle some salt and pepper over everything. You can also add any additional seasonings if you'd like. Place everything in the oven and set a timer for 15 minutes. So I just set a timer for 15 minutes. That's when I'm gonna check the chickpeas. The sweet potatoes and the tofu are gonna take a lot longer, but the chickpeas are gonna be done earlier, and I wanna be sure that I don't burn them. Also, I had a little bit of trouble getting the salt and pepper to stick to the chickpeas and sweet potatoes. So if you wanna get a little bit of water on those before you sprinkle the salt and pepper, or use a little bit of extra tamari, it'll make it easier for that to stick. Now that our main dinner ingredients are cooking in the oven, we're gonna get started on preparing lunch, which is gonna be buffalo seitan wraps with cheesy broccoli. Our main protein source in this meal is seitan, which is a fantastic source of plant protein. In fact, it's basically all plant protein, and it's something that you can easily make at home or buy it at the store. To start, take 2 packages or 456 grams of seitan and break it apart with your hands or cut it into cubes. Next, place it in the air fryer at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for 8 to 12 minutes. Next, slice up 2 red bell peppers into strips and chop up 2 heads of broccoli. Then saute the broccoli and red bell peppers in a non-stick pan over medium heat until cooked through. If you have an extra burner, then you can saute the broccoli and peppers in separate pans since we'll be using them individually, but I'm going to be sauteing everything in the same pan to save some space. So I'm cooking my broccoli and red bell peppers on the stove. I like doing it in a pan with just a little bit of garlic and tamari, which are 2 really low calorie additions to flavor these veggies. One really important thing to keep in mind is that you're using a non-stick pan, because a non-stick pan will allow you to cook without oil, and oil just packs in a ton of calories and it's not gonna fill you up. So if you're focusing on fat loss, it's really important that you avoid oil to the best of your ability. Once the air fryer is finished, grab a container with a lid and add the seitan plus half a cup or 120 grams of buffalo sauce to the bowl. Shake everything up to coat evenly. So when I'm tracking my calories and focusing on fat loss, I make sure to check the nutrition labels for every sauce that I add. This one is pretty low calorie. If you want something that's even more low calorie, you can use something like hot sauce. All right, now I'm not really a buffalo sauce person, but I'm gonna test this out. That's actually really good. Once the 15-minute timer is up for the chickpeas, remove them from the oven and put them to the side. Then place the tofu and sweet potatoes back in the oven to continue baking them for another 45 minutes. When the broccoli and peppers are finished, you can set them to the side and start making your wraps. Just as a heads up, if you decide to make these more than a day in advance, it's probably going to get really soggy. One other thing that I want to mention is we're using this Kite Hill dip. This is the French onion flavor. This can be a little difficult to find, so you can actually make your own dip at home by just using some plant-based yogurt and then mixing in some spices. For lunch every day, start by grabbing 2 wraps and add 1 tablespoon tablespoon or 24 grams of Kite Hill French onion yogurt dip, which only has 30 calories for 2 tablespoons. Divide 1 cup or 30 grams of spinach and a quarter of the red bell peppers that we cooked between the 2 wraps. These ingredients will pack our wraps with tons of vitamin C. Then sprinkle on 15 grams of shredded carrots for vitamin A. Next, add 1 tablespoon or 30 grams of sauerkraut to both wraps. Sauerkraut is a fermented food which contains bacteria that is great for your gut health, and it's also super low in calories. Last but not least, add 1/4 of the seitan evenly between the 2 wraps. To make 4 days worth of our cheesy broccoli, begin by placing your broccoli in a container with a lid. Then just add 4 tablespoons of nutritional yeast and shake it up to coat evenly. All right, so now we finished preparing our wraps, and 2 of these wraps plus a quarter of our cheesy broccoli comes in under 450 calories with 55 grams of plant protein. If you ask me, that's a pretty solid lunch. So I was thinking that I'd be really hungry on a 1600 calorie meal plan, but I could actually eat about 4 servings of this per day and still get around 1600 calories. It would actually be a little bit more like 1800 calories, but still, that is super impressive. It's a lot of food volume, and it looks absolutely delicious. Just to be clear, this is all of our broccoli for 4 days of these lunches, so you want to portion this out and just have a quarter of it each day. All right, so that's it for our lunch. Now let's finish preparing dinner. Once the sweet potatoes, chickpeas, and tofu are cooked, take them out of the oven and place them to the side to cool. Now it's time to make our maple Dijon dressing. All you need is a 1/4 cup or 60 grams of Dijon mustard and a 1/4 cup or 80 grams of maple syrup. Just whisk it together and it's ready to go. Next, we'll add 2 cups of chopped kale to each of our 4 containers. Kale is one of my favorite vegetables and is a great source of vitamins A, C, and K, as well as minerals like iron and calcium. Then, evenly divide the sweet potato, chickpeas, and tofu between our containers. All right, so that's it for our sweet potato tofu chickpea bowls. I do want to note that we're keeping the dressing on the side so none of the kale gets soggy. So when you're ready to eat one of these meals, simply take a 1/4 or 2 tablespoons of the sauce and drizzle it on top. So to meet our daily iodine needs, we did include some dulse flakes in this meal. Just be aware that this has a very strong seaweed flavor. So if that doesn't sound good to you, you can go with option number 2, which is using iodized salt instead of the other salt that we used. Option 3, which is actually the one that I prefer, is just having a little bit of seaweed on the side. You can just break off a little piece and have that as a little mini snack. It's not really a satisfying snack, but you can have a little piece of that to meet your iodine needs for the day. So for breakfast, we're gonna be making peanut butter and strawberry overnight oats. I absolutely love making oatmeal because it's super simple, it's also really nutritious, and it's so easy to customize. So now we're gonna make oats. Just kidding. It's like so close. Oh, so stupid. Start by lining up 4 containers. To each container, add 1/2 cup or 40 grams of oats, 2 tablespoons or 16 grams of powdered peanut butter, 2 tablespoons or 20 grams of hemp seeds, and 3/4 cup or 180 grams of soy milk. I just realized that this is not the correct soy milk, so you're supposed to be using unsweetened for this recipe, so we just added some calories with that. So go ahead and use unsweetened, not the sweetened stuff, even though it tastes a little better. Next, mix all the ingredients together and top with 1/2 cup or 76 grams of chopped strawberries. If you want to save some time, you can also use frozen sliced strawberries instead. So because our calorie target is pretty low for this meal prep, we're using powdered peanut butter instead of real peanut butter, but it has the same peanut butter taste, just with far fewer calories. We also added hemp seeds, which are a great source of protein and omega-3 fatty acids. So preparing breakfast is really that simple. All you need to do is slap some lids on here, put it in the fridge, and you can take it out every morning. You can have it just like this, or you can pop it in the microwave to warm it up. So that's it for breakfast. Now let's make our snacks. All right, so for our snacks, we're gonna be making sunflower crunch banana boats, which are just as good as they sound. So this is another recipe that I would make the day of because the bananas are gonna get brown pretty quickly, but I'm gonna show you exactly how to make it. Add 1 banana, then add half a cup or 75 grams of plant-based unsweetened vanilla Greek yogurt. We're using Kite Hill, which is packed with protein. To meet our vitamin E needs for the day, we're going to add 2 tablespoons or 18 grams of sunflower seeds. And lastly, we'll top everything off with 1 teaspoon or 7 grams of agave nectar and 1 teaspoon or 3 grams of cinnamon. This ends up being a lot of cinnamon, so feel free to use less. So I know that the sunflower seeds might seem like a little bit of a weird addition, but actually the sweet and savory flavors in this dish blend very well. All right, so now that we finished our snacks, our entire meal prep is done, let's dive into a nutrition breakdown. All right, so we ended the day at 126 grams of protein, which is really amazing, especially for less than 1,600 calories, and we didn't use protein supplements, which is pretty cool. So with all of the protein plus our fiber, we got in 60 grams of fiber. You're gonna feel really satiated throughout the day following this fat loss meal plan. So the one vitamin that I do want to note is vitamin D. And for vitamin D, you want to get out and get some sun for about 15 to 30 minutes per day. If you have darker skin, you want to be out there a little longer. Lighter skin is going to be closer to that 15-minute target. Some important micronutrients that will help you to improve your vitamin D absorption are vitamin K, magnesium, and zinc. And as you can see here, we've hit all those targets. So when it comes to vitamin B12, we got most of our B12 from the nutritional yeast. In fact, we got over 100% of our daily needs from that nutritional yeast. Some other concerns that people generally have when they're transitioning to a plant-based diet or trying to thrive on a plant-based diet are calcium and iron. So you can see here that we got plenty of calcium in our diet. Most of our calcium came from the sweet potato tofu chickpea bowls, and a lot of that came from tofu. So soy is a fantastic source of calcium. Lots of people think that you need to drink cow's milk for calcium. That's not true. As you can see, we got plenty of calcium in our diet. We also got in a bunch of iron, and tofu is a great source. And as for our omega-3s, you can see that we hit our target primarily with hemp seeds. So again, hemp seeds are a fantastic source of omega-3s. Now for my daily intake of selenium, normally I have a daily Brazil nut, but that's generally about 60 calories, somewhere in there. So that's actually a lot of calories to add to a fat loss meal plan, especially with a 1,600 calorie target. So you can see here that we got most of our selenium from tofu. So again, tofu is a fantastic source of lots of micronutrients. The last thing I'll highlight are my amino acid targets. So leucine is arguably the most important amino acid when it comes to muscle growth. Leucine really acts like the ignition of a car that turns on muscle protein synthesis. So it's really important that you're consuming adequate amounts of leucine to support lean muscle mass gains and also maintenance of lean muscle mass. And we got over 200% of our phenylalanine target, which is a fun word. All right, so that's it for our meal prep. Again, you can download all of these recipes plus a grocery list by clicking the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss a future video, and I'll catch you in the next one.